An electrifying evening, to say the least, at Lambeau last Thursday as the Packers took care of the Bears before the rain delay. Can lightning strike twice as we head south to take on the arch-nemesis Dallas Cowboys? Is everything bigger in Texas? Well, we'll find out next on your Packers Fan Podcast.
Hey, Packers fans, this is your unofficial Packers Fan Podcast, and these are the podcasters you're looking for. One of these guys was once a club DJ in a country saloon, and the other guy gave up his seats on the 20-yard line so 12,000 more fans could enjoy the game live. And now it's time to Go Pack Go with your hosts, Wayne Henderson and Troy Heinritz.
Welcome back, friends. Thanks again for joining us on the Packers Fan Podcast, the show by and for fans like you of the 13-time NFL champion Green Bay Packers. Give us a call. We want to share your feedback on next week's episode. Make this number handy for you. It's area code 920-3PACK-GO. Again, 920-3PACK-GO, or anywhere in the world. Go to PackersFanPodcast.com/feedback to be part of the show. This is episode 140 of your Packers Fan Podcast, recorded October 4th, 2017, which means that the show notes will be at PackersFanPodcast.com/140.
On this week's edition, we'll be talking about that huge win for the Green and Gold, now leading the series against the Bears for the first time in like 80-some years. Way to go. And we also chat with a Bears game attendee about the stadium storm procedures. This is a rare event, so stick around for that interview. That'll be interesting. Plus, we'll have the latest injury updates and news. I got exciting things. The list is actually shorter than it was last week, so that's a good thing. That's a good news.
Good news, happy news. The Packers are on a roll. We are also going to discuss whether or not the officials let those skirmishes get out of hand. Troy is going to have the keys to the Packers beating Dallas, and one of our favorite segments, brilliant feedback from you, the G-Force. And ready for the great month of Rocktober, I'm at Wayne Henderson, the voice acting, podcasting part owner of your 13-time NFL champion Green Bay Packers.
And just like the stars at night, I'm at Troy Heinritz, big and bright, without even needing a trip to Texas. The Packers Fan Podcast is available on demand and on the go with our free Packers Fan Podcast app. It's available for both iOS and for Android. So if you are flying down to Dallas, you can go ahead and grab this episode on your podcast app player. Just download it right from the App Store today. It's going to be awesome.
Be ready or be prepared. That's the old Boy Scout motto. Some of the highlights, there were a lot of highlights and, of course, shocking moments during the game against the Bears. But I got to say, Aaron Rodgers and Jordy Nelson, that about sums it up.
Well, and the best thing about the offense in this game, I don't know if they went to a different scheme or a different pattern, because some of the things that they were doing inside the red zone, 5 out of 5 trips they scored in the red zone, that's pretty impressive. If they can do that the rest of the season, we are going to be in for at least an NFC Championship appearance for sure. But the big thing that they were doing was that they were actually running the same plays, but it was like a bait and switch kind of action. So the one I really liked was it was on the first touchdown to the right side. You had the 2 receivers on the outside. I think it was actually Jordy and Martellus Bennett. And when you looked at them, they were actually running down the field and they like crisscross. So they basically take the receivers with them, and it looked like it would go to like Jordy, right, coming from the far left outside, crossing into the middle, and it would have gone to him. Well, on the second time they went down, they ran the same exact play, but instead of, in this case, I believe that was Randall Cobb, who was in the slot. Randall Cobb goes to look like he's going to do the crisscross, but then he peels back and comes back to the inside into the middle of the field to get the touchdown. But the defender, expecting the crisscross, actually gets drug over, and that's what allows that open lane to show up. So, I mean, that is some really great offensive scheme planning, plays being drawn up. So if they can keep some of that stuff going, I think that really helps, because we've been talking about how the receivers haven't been able to get separation and things of that nature. So this is allowing the offense to just kind of naturally develop. And so I think maybe we have switched some stuff up, and I'm excited to see what we can do against the big star down there in Dallas.
Absolutely, because it was interesting how the Packers were actually on a roll pretty much right from the beginning. Then there's the storm delay. And my fear was it's going to take the life out of them. It's going to be like the Falcons halftime at the Super Bowl where they're going to come back out and they're just going to be lethargic. But those fears were alleviated quite quickly.
Yeah, and it was great to see that we were able to overcome the adversity in this game too. I mean, we're all the way down to Aaron Jones, and we said all preseason that Aaron Jones was going to be a highlight running back for the team this year. Now, word is Ty Montgomery was practicing a little bit today, so hopefully things are going well, but he's still going to be pretty darn sore with those ribs. So from that perspective, I think we might see more of Aaron Jones in this contest with Dallas this week. But he had a really great game, got his first NFL touchdown. Super, super awesome. I think that when you look at how we were able to overcome all the adversity and all the people getting injured in this game, a lot of Bears getting injured in this game too. I think that just shows a lot of strength and heart again for this Packers team.
Yeah, they truly do not give up, and they kept at it, and things were just working out for the most part in our favor despite the injuries. The whole next man up, it was actually working out. I just couldn't believe it. You know, we're all of a sudden we're playing Aaron Jones. I didn't even see the other guy for more than one or two plays, it seemed like, but we're hoping everybody feels a lot better. I am so thankful that we get these extra days of rest for the team before the Dallas game, because all those new injuries just cause you to shake your head in disbelief.
We do have to say big congratulations to Clay Matthews.
Oh, yeah.
Because he was credited for the sack on the fumble. I don't understand how that quite works in my brain. Like, he didn't actually sack him since it was a fumble, but they credit him for the strip sack, and therefore he becomes the all-time sack champion for the Packers. So way to go, Clay, and hopefully here's to about 1,000 more.
Yes, because with 1,000 more, then there would be no question about the nature of that particular sack that got him the record. So that's going to be amazing. Congratulations, Clay Matthews. I had no idea that he was up there that far, you know, close to the top of the Packers sack leaders. But now it's history. It's official. Something official or unofficial is going on with Demarius Randall. What on earth was that all about?
Demarius was camping, like literally cooking brats, Johnsonville brats in the end zone because his guy was nowhere near him. I have no idea how he got burnt so bad on that play. It was as if Demarius was looking at a different zip code. He was like, "Ooh, look, the lightning's coming. We should probably get off the field." And then it was bad. Like things are not well for Demarius, and it's just a shame that Quentin Rollins was the one that was injured in the preseason, because right now with Devon House still being sidelined, and Demarius and Kevin King are it, and Demarius is not looking sharp at all.
Yeah, because I guess there's reports that he had an argument with Coach McCarthy, maybe even sent to the locker room, and then he just left or something. Something's just not right, but hopefully it'll get all worked out.
Yeah, maybe it's the thing that you needed, right? You get pissed off, or you're mad at yourself, you end up leaving the stadium, and then when you realize that, oh, hey, I'm here as a team player, not as an individual player, that it might be the thing that actually solidifies the change that needs to happen. That's the catalyst. And maybe this week he becomes the Des Bryant shutout person. Who knows?
That would be nice, because we don't have room for this kind of nonsense on the Green Bay Packers. I mean, look at how huge of a distraction it's been for the Giants with Odell Beckham Jr. and his shenanigans this season. And even Antonio Brown with the Steelers having a meltdown last week. We just don't have room for that in Green Bay. Team.
That's right. And that's exactly what happened during the national anthem. I mean, not to bring up the story again, because it's just all anybody's ever talking about when it comes to the NFL. But I think what the Packers did on that Thursday night, where they all stood and locked arms, at least it showed that we are all together as one. White, black, Hispanic, veteran, non-veteran, doesn't matter. We are all united. And I think that was the key message that the Packers organization was trying to send, was that we are united. Even Martellus Bennett, who's been the one that's been known the most to sit on the bench because of the situation with his brother, I mean, even he was standing with the team, arm in arm, locked tightly. So I think that was really great that the Packers were able to do that. You know, it shows respect for the flag at the same time, but it just shows the whole point of this whole thing is that, you know, we can't be separated. We all can't be individuals. We have to be one voice, one message, working to a common goal.
Yes. And in the game itself, as well. You know, sometimes we think the referees throw way too many flags. And in this game, there were some flags for, offsides and things like that. But as far as some of the ticky-tack thing and the pushing and shoving and jawing, the referees obviously were going to, quote unquote, just let them play. And that's okay to an extent, but I think it's obvious that they let things get way out of hand, especially it built up to the point of the injury to Devontae Adams. And thank God that he's doing a lot better than I thought he would be at this point. But
when you ever see that mouth guard come flying out, I mean, and that's the mouth guard flying out from a long camera shot. It's not even like it's zoomed in. I mean, you saw the mouth guard come out from even far away. So that's how high that mouth guard got some distance from the crack that he got across his helmet. So, yeah, unbelievable.
Definitely unbelievable. And I hold the referees partially responsible because there were a few incidents of a lesser degree earlier in the game. They could have made a statement earlier and just got people to behave a bit and cool down the tempers, because obviously once we started showing the world on national TV that we are still the superior team, the Bears just started, some of them, having meltdowns.
Yeah, it's a team sport. You're playing out there for each other, and when you get into that kind of stuff, it's no good, man. It's no good. People look down on you, and you just got to play clean. And you don't want to put somebody in a position where they could end up not playing football ever again. I mean, that hit looked vicious. I mean, literally vicious. So it's always good to see the thumb up when it happens.
I immediately went into, I got to pray for this guy's safety, because I thought there was a chance he could be dead. It was that bad.
Yeah. The way he dropped to the ground, that's exactly what I thought initially. I'm like, holy cow. And then to find out that he gets suspended for 2 games and then gets reduced to 1 game. Like, seriously.
Yeah. Ridiculous.
Come on. No, we got to enforce player safety. And I know people complain about, the NFL's becoming too weak and yada, yada, yada. But things like this, it's like a 2-game suspension is totally warranted. I mean, the play was over and he comes in and still goes helmet to helmet. So I call BS on the reduction, but whatevs. It is what it is.
Yeah, because I was expecting him to get a suspension more like 7 or 8 games. Oh, it is what it is. And let's just say the rematch in about, 4 or 5 weeks, that's going to be very interesting indeed.
Well, before we get into the voicemails from all of you surrounding this game, we actually had a friend of ours who was actually at the game on Thursday night. And given the circumstances with the rain delay and the storm procedures, we thought it would be interesting to have a chat with them. So we'll bring in Amanda here to the podcast and let her tell you all about her excursion and happenings at the Bears-Packers game last Thursday. All right, we welcome into the show, unfortunately, a Bears fan to our podcast, because we have Amanda Sink joining us. She was actually at the Bears-Packers game this past week, and we wanted to bring her on for 2 reasons. One, because of the big hubbub around the whole standing up, kneeling, national anthem thing and what the Packers were encouraging all of the fans to do in the stands. But secondly, and most importantly, is we wanted to know about the lightning storm procedures there at Lambeau Field, because I think this is like only the 2nd or 3rd time in the history of the stadium that this has actually happened. So I thought, why not get a firsthand perspective from someone that was there at the game? So welcome, Amanda, to the show.
Thanks for having me on. It is really weird being on a Packers fan podcast as a Bears fan, but I respect other teams' decisions or other people's decisions on the teams they choose enough, even if they're Packers fans, that I'm respectful and I won't harass everyone. I also don't have any ground to stand on to harass anyone at this point either, because we're awful right now.
Because one, you got the tar kicked out of you, and 2, the ground has just been literally turned into mush from all the rain that you had to sit through.
Exactly. Yeah. My hair was not thanking me that night.
Oh my goodness. Well, you've been up there a few times, but this is one of the times you've been up there kind of on your own. Drove up all the way from southern Wisconsin, right on the border there in Bears-Packers crossover land. So what was the experience like for you getting up to the game? Because there's a lot of Chicago fans that come up for this contest. Traffic had been pretty brutal.
Yeah, it wasn't terrible. If I would have waited another half an hour, I would have been slammed with traffic. I did get to a point when I was nearing the stadium that it was a little difficult for us to kind of have a natural progression in traffic. But beyond that, it was maybe only 15 minutes that I had to endure that. It was pretty smooth sailing through that point. And I actually reached out to you for tips on where to park, because in past times that I've been up to Lambeau, I've actually never gone to an NFL game that hasn't been at Lambeau. But I reached out to you for some tips on where to park, because I've always paid for the parking. I just never wanted to deal with the hassle of it. And this time I decided to try to find some free parking, which I did. I got really lucky with the tips you gave me. If I would have gone one street over, taken a different direction, I would have had to pay for all of the $10, $20, $25 parking. But the route that I took in, I avoided all of that and got only 15-minute walk or so for free parking. And it was really easy and super convenient.
Especially on the leaving side, because I'm sure you left by the start of the rain delay, because it didn't matter after that when you're down 14-0.
Right. Yeah, I actually stayed through the rain. I considered leaving when it started pouring, and then I just decided to hang out and see if it improved. But after so many turnovers, you just kind of realize that maybe your sleep is a little bit more of a priority. So I left shortly after the fourth quarter started, and luckily it wasn't terrible getting out, but it was also probably because most of the fans that were there are Packers fans, so they were staying to finish out this game.
Well, it's because the first time the offense has been really alive for us, so it was fun to just watch all the touchdowns happen. Gives them something to cheer about. Prep up for the Cowboys game this weekend.
I don't know if fun is the word I would use in my particular perception of this situation, but as a Packers fan, I'm sure you guys all enjoyed yourselves quite a bit.
No, was this the rain was kind of unexpected, because it was supposed to be like a 20% chance of showers, and then it came up being this huge lightning storm. Why don't you talk a little bit about when you first heard, hey, we're going to have to evacuate the field and evacuate the stands? What was that procedure like? Did they come over to loudspeakers, or were there ushers?
So they did make an announcement, but then they also had, you know how they have the little screens that have usually they'll display the actual plays, and then they'll also display the players and have all of the information. They actually totally changed that, and it was just about how the weather service announcement has located that there's a thunder lightning storm in the area, so please evacuate and get inside the concourse. And so for a while, everybody was just kind of like, it's sprinkling, but I don't see any lightning. I'm not moving. And that was the majority of the stadium. And then they continued to make announcements. And at one point, my group and I looked just to the left, and we saw this nice bolt of lightning just next to us. And we were like, we should probably go inside now. And so we had it pretty easy where we were able to get inside. But there were a lot of sections and people that waited too long that it started to become a problem. There were actually drunk people yelling because there wasn't enough leeway inside the concourse for people to actually go from outside the stadium into the safe place, which kind of isn't even a safe place from where I was at, because it's not like they have windows or anything. It's all open, so we're still getting slammed with water. I guess at least we're just not sitting openly out in the stadium. But yeah, it was a long storm. I just found really tall people and I hid behind them and thanked them for their service. Because
for those that have not been to Lambeau Field yet or have seen the pictures, obviously this is a concrete bowl that has metal bleachers all the way around the stadium. So if you're in a lightning storm, the last thing you wildly want to be doing is sitting on a giant conductor.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's not like, I'm surprised they didn't have more people trying to usher you out and encourage you. They just kind of had the speaker announcement and the display on the screen board. But I suppose they're probably trying to deal with as many people as they can to get them inside and deal with more of the internal situation, because trying to get out into the stadium to get people to come inside and going against that traffic would probably just be a very long procedure. So
by the time people started finally ushering themselves into the concourse from the stands, I mean, the concourse is wide, but it's not 78,000 people wide, even if you think about the upstairs and the downstairs concourse.
Yeah.
So what was it like in the concourse? Was it sweaty, gross? Was there, space to move around?
So it wasn't terrible where I was at. Like I said, I found some really tall people and they were really cool guys. And I just kind of stood in front of them and just said, "Hey, don't move because you're a perfect shield for me from all of the rain that's still flowing through." But there were, like I said, there were some drunk people who were getting pretty irate. There was one guy in particular who started up a commotion because it was getting so full that the people from still, trying to come from the stadium into the concourse, they were having trouble actually getting in because it was getting so packed at that entryway. And so he was kind of going through all of the people and swearing and yelling at everyone that they were being a-holes and jerks and stuff and need to move out of the way, which they did, but it was also still pretty crammed at that point. You can only move so much to allow for another 50 people or something.
Yeah, because as you're coming in and going to the right or left, there's another tunnel, not 30 feet down, that's also coming out and going to the right or to the left. Mm-hmm. Now, were people buying concessions and stuff and just making it smell really bad, or were people just more standing around looking at the storm?
I was really lucky that there wasn't any BO situations because that would have been rough. The smoking, people didn't care that you're not supposed to smoke in there, so people were smoking, which I get nauseous from the smell of smoke. So I just had to kind of try to migrate away from that situation, but that was the worst of it for that. But I sure went and got some food because I was hungry after all of that waiting and then being rained on. Forget it. I was starving.
All in all, do you feel like you were safe? Did you think the operation was successful to get everybody in there?
In terms of a business liability perspective, I would think that they would try to do more to get people in. There wasn't a single representative in the concourse trying to help navigate people inward and direct that traffic. It was all just kind of a free-for-all. So there wasn't anybody that was out in the stadium, at least not where I was, and there wasn't anybody inside the concourse trying to move things and progress traffic along. So it felt like it was, if you got inside, you felt safe enough, but it was there was a lack of personnel there to help with the situation, I felt like, but they may have been trying to get through as many levels and sections as possible, and there's only so much you can do in such amount of time.
Very true. And it was about 45 minutes was the delay. Were you in the concourse the whole time for that 45 minutes then, or did you? Just
about, yeah. We only stayed out there for another maybe 10 minutes after they made the first announcement, because like I said, at first, it wasn't even really raining. There was a couple sprinkles here and there, and we felt that. And we were just kind of looking around, and most people were still just hanging out, thinking that it would just pass through. And then once we kind of noticed on our Weather Channel apps, and they actually showed the radar on the screen, we were like, maybe we should move inside. And then the lightning bolt happened, and we were like, let's move it. So.
That's fantastic. Well, thanks so much for reporting back on that.
No trouble.
All in all, good game. Was it worth the 6 hours worth of travel to get up there?
You know what? Everything is about perception. From my perception, it was probably not worth all of the time that I spent because I'm leaving work early. I'm driving 3 hours each way. I'm losing sleep. I don't get back till like 2 a.m. and that's even missing some of the game. But it's still, I had a free ticket, so I'm not really complaining too much about it. I just wish my team would have had themselves together a little bit better because the second to last time I was there, it was the Bears-Packers, and I believe it was 2014, and that was when the Bears won the game. So that was extremely exciting for me, and then I come back to this. So I think it was a really good game for Packers fans, and I'm glad you guys had a good time. There were plenty of drunk people there, that's for sure. The drunk levels change, I feel like, for Thursday and Sunday games. It's a completely different environment.
Yeah, because where we sit on Sundays, for the most part, it's a pretty tame group. There's like one or two that are pretty obnoxious, but we already know who they are, so we're prepared for it. But
right.
I don't understand what it is with Thursday games. Like, do people just, I don't have to work on Friday, so they're just letting loose, or what it is? Thursday games are crazy scary.
Yeah, maybe it's that motto, Thirsty Thursday. Everybody's ready. It's been a long week. We're ready to just drink and get through this 4-day weekend we're now going to have. I don't know, but it's definitely a different environment. Like, I would say if you're going to take a child to a game, don't take them on a Thursday night. Take them on a Sunday.
Yeah, the beer goggles help make the Color Rush uniforms look better, probably.
Right.
Well,
there were so many complaints about the jerseys, by the way. Oh my goodness. I've never experienced so many complaints about just the uniforms that the players are wearing.
And it's for a good cause at the end of the day that Nike's trying to do this, but they are just butt ugly.
Yeah, I heard that a lot. A lot.
Well, if we have our way, of course, you know how Wayne and I feel, no Thursday football would be the best solution. But we were stuck with it for at least a little while longer. And I'm sure the Bears and Packers will be playing on many Thursday nights yet to come. But thanks so much for stopping by, Amanda. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You bet. Have a great one, and you can convert anytime. We always welcome in the Bears fans converting over to the green and gold.
Look, I have to say, if anyone ever has to question my level of commitment, all I have to say is I've been a Bears fan my whole life, and they will respect that and understand that I'm the most committed person.
But if the Packers get to the playoffs and the Bears aren't in the playoffs, you'll at least cheer a little bit.
I do. You know what? I absolutely do. My father is a Packers fan. My grandmother, before she passed away, one of the things I told her is that I would always root for the Packers. If they were not up against the Bears, that I would cheer on her team for her. So I absolutely do that.
And we will do the same because we are the two storied rivalries, right? The two originals, the OGs of the NFL.
OGs.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Amanda. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
And it was totally amazing that Amanda was able to come on and share all that with us. Like, I never knew, Wayne, like that they didn't have staff. They need to have staff out there telling people, you guys are sitting on a lightning conductor.
Exactly. I mean, you
need to move.
Yeah, we brag about how Lambeau Field is old school, metal bleachers. But when you're talking about lightning, I could see where that could be a slight issue.
Yeah, but again, this doesn't happen very often. I mean, it's only like second or third time in the history of Lambeau Field that they've had lightning where they had to evacuate actual bodies from the bowl area. So how do you manage 78,000 people to get them to move into the concourse, especially when they don't want to move?
And it's great to learn some of those things from Amanda. So Amanda, although I couldn't be there for the actual interview, thanks again for coming on the Packers Fan Podcast, sharing your stories about that. Because my first thought when they did the evacuation is, I know that there was the huge remodeling of Lambeau Field, 5 years ago and another one, but I still am trying to wrap my brain around the fact that they could put 78,000 people in those enclosed concourse areas. Maybe they all wanted to go to the 1919, but the wait, oh man, we learned that you can have a wait there. So I'm just glad everybody was safe in the end, and it made for some beautiful photography and video clips. And
it got to be an amazing experience just to be standing in the concourse with 78,000 of your closest friends.
And 10 Bears fans.
Especially drunk as they were on Thursday night, as Amanda mentioned. So,
well, it's Bears night. You really got to get yourself in the right frame of mind for Bears night. Oh, what a classic game. Classic.
You know what else is classic is having awesome fans and supporters of this podcast that we have on a regular basis. It's because of you guys that we were able to be a nominee for the People's Choice Podcast Awards this year. And the ceremony was this past Saturday night. And unfortunately, we did not win this year, but we were able to be nominated. And that's because of all of you listening and all of you supporting. So thank you again for everyone that came out and nominated us and supported us through the process. This is only our second nomination in 2 years. So number three is the big one next year.
Well, they say third time's a charm. And even though this has been the 12th or 13th People's Choice Podcast Awards, we're still the only Packers related podcast to make it to the finals. And it's because of you, the listener. Thank you so very much. I used to always think when people said it's an honor to be nominated, I always thought, yeah. But it really is. I mean, to see the Packers Fan Podcast, our unofficial podcast, listed alongside some of these big fantasy football podcasts, ESPN, as well as our friends over at the Seahawkers and our other Corey with his IVMV baseball podcast, to see us listed amongst all those is pretty amazing.
Pretty humbling.
So thank you yet again.
And we're going to thank you even more by featuring you guys here on the show. It's that section of the podcast we love to call the G-Force. And we're going to kick it off this week with our voicemail from Steven.
All right, go Pack go. Guys played an awesome game tonight in spite of a couple of really bad injuries during the game. Still think that Bears player needs to be suspended, but whatever. All that matters is we got a great win and a beautiful start, 3-1 season. Go Pack go, green and gold till I'm dead and cold. And this is Steven again.
Steven, thank you so very much for giving us a call at 920-3PACK-GO. Green and gold till dead and cold, and hopefully that is decades and decades and decades away. Maybe even a century away. But yeah, 3-1, when you just think about the fact that Packers are 3-1, Troy, that's a pretty dang good start. I mean, look at, the Patriots.
I knew you were going to go there.
I had to.
More importantly, look at the Dallas Cowboys sitting at 2-2. How important is the game that's coming up this Sunday? Because if we drop a loss to the Cowboys, then we end up tied 3-2, but it's really a game behind the Cowboys in the NFC standings because of the tiebreaker. So big matchup this Sunday.
True. And if we win, then it's an even bigger lead over the Cowboys.
Amen to that.
And the Falcons are no longer undefeated. Only the Chiefs are undefeated as of now when we're recording this, and they're in the AFC, so we'll worry about them in the Super Bowl.
I'm so glad that game was close because I needed Kareem Hunt to run for another 50 yards in that fourth quarter in order to win. But successful once again, undefeated fantasy football. Keep it going.
Go, Troy, go. Go, Troy, go.
Hey, Sir Troy, Sir Wayne. This is Jeff calling you here from Tucson, Arizona. Thank you guys for producing such a high-quality show every single week, and thanks for creating such a great community for all of us Packer fans to connect here. Say, I've been reflecting, thinking about last Thursday night's game, and I think for me one of the big highlights is Jordy Nelson. We know what Jordy's capable of as an athlete. I mean, look at him. The last 2 weeks, 4 touchdowns. In Packers history, there's only one other receiver who has more touchdowns than Jordy Nelson. That is Don Hudson. Are you kidding me? The guy's phenomenal. But I think this week what really stood out was his leadership. I think back to that play early on in the game where Jamal Williams is kind of limping around. He was going to try to play that next snap. Jordy Nelson walks over, points to the ground. I don't know what he said, but I think the message was clear. Get the medical attention you need because we're going to need you for many, many more snaps later on this season, not to muddle your way through this one snap now when you're hurt. I also think about that vicious hit to Devontae Adams. Jordy Nelson was clearly upset by that, but he stayed calm. He kept his teammates calm. And in doing so, that situation, which was horrific, did not escalate. Jordy Nelson is absolutely outstanding. His character is of the highest quality. As a fan, as a part owner of the Green Bay Packers, I am so thankful that Jordy Nelson is part of the green and gold. Thanks, guys, for listening. And, of course, go Pack go.
Go Pack go indeed. Number 87 on the field and number 1 in our hearts, Jordy Nelson. Yeah, I can't agree more because the things he was able to do both in leadership on the field, especially around the Devontae Adams situation, but especially in just running his routes and understanding the offense and making the things happen. He's having another great year, and he was coming off some adversity too because he was hurt a little bit earlier this season. So for him to be out there pushing through the pain, definitely something we need to show what it's all about to succeed as a wide receiver on an Aaron Rodgers run offense here in the NFL.
I totally agree, Troy. And Jeff, thanks again for calling that in for us. You are spot on. Jordy Nelson, he's becoming quite the leader. He's a cool customer. He just has great knowledge of the game, much like Aaron Rodgers does, but in a different way. And it's just amazing to watch. And I'm so glad that he's a Green Bay Packer. And Jeff, thanks again for giving us a call at 920-3PACK-GO.
Hey guys, Art here from Texas. Oh man, well, I'm pretty bummed out. Although we won, it feels worse than a loss. Prayers to Devontae Adams' family and him, of course. Hopefully, I don't know the extent of the injuries, but hopefully he recovers fully. I hope Trevathan, the linebacker, gets a very steep penalty. Maybe even suspended the rest of the season. Adams was clearly defenseless. He was already being tackled by two other guys. I don't know. I mean, you grow up watching these guys, and they become a family household name. It's like, you know, I don't know what to say. Yeah, I knew I was forgetting somebody else. Ty Montgomery. I hope he has a speedy recovery from his broken rib. And I think there was somebody else. But yeah, thanks, guys.
Wayne Toy, me, Art from Texas again. I just got an update on my phone about Trevathan, that player that cheap shot at Davante Adams, that his suspension has been downgraded to one game only. I mean, that's just pathetic. I don't know. I mean, that doesn't send a really good message. But, you know, the league's not sending a very good message with that light suspension. I mean, it was a brutal hit. I don't know. Just wondering what's your take on that. Thanks a lot, guys. Thank you for the podcast. Go Pack Go.
You are very welcome, Art, and thank you for giving us a call and being a part of the show. And yes, we can hear your concern and frustration, all those injuries. And regarding the suspension being lowered, Troy, do you think it was because they saw Davante Adams was far healthier than originally feared, that they thought, oh, he didn't even get hurt all that bad, so why not lower the suspension?
I think that would send a horrible precedent if that was the case.
I agree.
Just because, he's not hurt that bad, so, okay, you could have a game back. No, absolutely not. He should have kept it at 2 games. This is the politics of the NFL, the NFL Players Association, doing what they do. Obviously, these guys, when you think about it, their contracts are technically game to game, week to week. They don't get paid unless they play, unless they have a huge guarantee in their contract. So really, their game checks are their lifeblood. So to not play for 2 weeks, it does hurt a little bit. So I think good lawyers and things do what they do, and that's why he got 1 game reduced. But at the same time, it's a vicious hit. It was a stupid hit because not only are you injuring another player, but you could be injuring yourself as well. And I think just from that perspective alone, we should be setting a better example for the kids out there that are playing and growing up in the Pop Warner leagues and playing in high school. That tackling is important, and tackling the right way is super, super critical to your longevity of playing the football game that you love.
I'm going to totally agree with you on that one, Troy. It's just an unfortunate incident. The best thing that could happen is this week when we go to Dallas is nobody else gets hurt. We beat the Cowboys handily, and then we just move forward.
Yes, this is Caleb Fisher from O'Connell Falls, Wisconsin. I wanted to get my input on how great the Green Bay Packers were this past week. A couple of things I noticed were Aaron Rodgers being able to extend the play on 3rd downs. Another thing I also saw that I really hated was that they did not penalize, they did not eject the Chicago Bear that hit Davante Adams, inappropriately. I think that he should be fined and probably tossed out of the game for a couple of months. Until next time, gentlemen, bleed green and gold, you're dead and cold. Go Pack Go.
Go Pack Go indeed. I mean, seriously, why wouldn't you just eject the guy? At that point in the game, I totally would have thrown him out and just made sure it was an example set. It's really annoying that things can just slide by in the NFL. Rules are rules, and rules need to be enforced.
I mean, heck, I don't even think there was a flag thrown on the play, let alone an ejection or suspension, until we got the suspension. But the whole thing, it was like the rest were just watching the skies for more lightning. I don't know. But so
That's
thankful that
very
Davante is recovering as he is, because I had no idea that he would be showing back up at a practice.
I mean, now it was a good point talking about extending on play on 3rd down, but 3rd down efficiency. I mean, the Packers were only 7 of 14 for 50%. So, I mean, it's better than the Bears 41%, but it's still not, 60, 70, 80%. But I guess 3rd down efficiency wasn't too bad in this game. And the fact that they were able to have 14 3rd downs shows you we were on the field quite a bit. Time of possession again, 28-09 to the Bears 31-51, and that's because we were scoring so fast after those turnovers.
That's too bad, huh?
Oh, shucks.
Just an unusual game. It just, in a different way, it reminds me of the Packers-Bears game that you took me to about 5 years ago, because there were just so many things that stood out from the game, so unique, and another Packers domination. And this time, the same way, just some of the unique things. Clay Matthews setting the sack record and the unfortunate injuries, and just
lightning storm.
Lightning storms. The Bears quarterback channeling his inner Jay Cutler. Just lots of crazy things.
Channeling his inner punter.
There's so many crazy
that
things.
Play was crazy. Like, did he really just kick that ball off his knee? What?
Anything's possible. And now that, like you said earlier, the Packers are now in the lead. We're in the driver's seat of that particular series. So go Pack, go.
Go Pack, go. And you can keep the conversations going during the week here as we get ready for Dallas on Sunday over at our Packers Fan Podcast Facebook group community. Just head on over to packerscommunity.com and keep the conversations going. Love to hear from more of you, of course, as the season goes on. So the injury report is out. Practice has happened, and things are better than last week. We're down to 11 people on the list instead of 13. Woo! So that's a positive. The bigger positive is that Devontae Adams, who is listed with a concussion, was a limited participant in practice today. So he is back out on the field. We'll have to see what his status looks like come Friday to see if he will have any chance of playing this week. Bakhtiari is actually back, limited participant from the hamstring injury, so that's a good sign. Ahmad Brooks, who had a pretty decent game, he was actually a limited participant with a aggravated back, kind of still hanging in there. So we'll see if Ahmad plays later this week. Balaga was a limited participant as well, so the O-line might be getting healthy. Daniels was actually a limited participant with the hip injury. Devon House was a limited participant, as well as Ty Montgomery with his ribs also did practice today as well. Nick Perry was back out there practicing as well. And then Quentin Rollins was a full participant in practice today.
No, wait a minute. Full participant.
Full participant. So
like
things are looking up there for Quentin Rollins. We'll have to see what his status is and if he actually can make it into the lineup this weekend. I can't remember if he was listed as one of those PUP players or IR players that you have to wait the 6 weeks. I have to go back and check my notes on that. Joe Thomas, linebacker, did not participate this week, and Jamal Williams was a full participant after he tweaked the knee during his time out there at running back. So we'll have hopefully a full complement of running backs, at least between Jamal and Jones, and then we'll have to see if Ty can actually get into the mix at all.
That would be very, very nice indeed. It's hard to believe out of all those players, all but 3 were limited participants. Now, based on previous history, what's the percentages for the limited participants? Do you think maybe half of them will, based on past performance, be able to play on Sunday, or is limited practice performance, is that just a way of saying, we're probably not going to see them play Sunday?
I mean, I would look for them to be a full participant on Friday. If they're a full participant on Friday, they're playing. If they're still limited on Friday, I would say it's highly doubtful they would play on Sunday.
Okay, so Friday is key. Watch the reports in the afternoon.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool.
Well,
Fingers
in other news, fingers
Yes.
crossed. Other news, the Green Bay Packers did beat the Chicago Bears last week, and they grabbed the series lead for the first time since 1933 and now hold the record 95-94-6 against the oldest rival. But the Packers still have losing records against 8 other NFL franchises when the regular season and playoff games are tallied. So the Packers trail the Buffalo Bills 4-8, the Cincinnati Bengals 6-7. So we got to win one more against those guys. The Colts were 21-22-1. The Chiefs were 4-7-1. The Dolphins 4-10. The Jets 4-8. The Titans 5-7. Denver Broncos 6-7-1. And the series between the Packers and Rams, which dates back to 37 when the Rams were actually in Cleveland, is tied at 46-46-2. So that'll be an interesting game when we play next year, right?
Very interesting indeed. And on the other hand, we do still have more NFL titles than any of those other teams. In fact, we might have more than all of them put together.
And then Green Bay owns the narrowest of leads in its series with the Dallas Cowboys, who we do play on Sunday. We are currently leading that series 18-17, including a 4-4 tie in the postseason. So Dallas has got something to play for.
And I tell you what, Troy, that's actually very encouraging news on that stat front, because in the mid to late 90s, just the mention of the Dallas Cowboys gave me headaches, and darn that Michael Irvin, Emmitt Smith, frustrated me to no end until we finally got a revenge at Lambeau Field.
Yes, the real America's team will be hopefully crowned victorious when 7 o'clock or so turns around on Sunday night.
As long as
the
they're
Central Time Zone.
As long as they're not driving around in crowned Victorias.
Right.
They're going to be crowned victorious.
Also want to mention that the Green Bay Packers will again host the popular Halloween-themed event Spooktacular this Saturday, October 7th in the Lambeau Field atrium. The event will open at 9 a.m. and continue until 3 p.m. and is free to the public. Attendees can enter through the Miller Lite Gate, Oneida Nation Gate, or the American Family Insurance Gate on the east side of the stadium. Spooktacular will feature interactive entertainment, including music, juggling performances, family fun, challenges, and balloon animals. Children will also have the opportunity to have their faces painted, play fall-themed games, and put their artistic skills to work at Halloween-themed craft stations. New this year will be a child-friendly hay bale maze will be set up outside the Miller Lite Gate on the platform above the Packers Pro Shop. Those who attend the event are also encouraged to bring new or gently used winter coats to Lambeau to donate for the Coats for Kids program. And in addition, the Center for Childhood Safety will be in attendance with information on safe trick-or-treating, and Halloween scenes will be abundant for awesome photo opportunities. So be sure to check out Spooktacular this weekend up at Lambeau.
I think that's absolutely amazing. I had no idea they did this type of thing. And the fact that it's at Lambeau Field, partially in the atrium and partially outside. If I was a kid, I would be jazzed up to go to that any day of the week.
Especially if you're a fan of the green and gold.
It's a win-win. So Saturday, October 7th, that would be so
9 a.m.
much fun. If I happen to win the lotto, there's not enough time. I could fly all the grandkids out there. They would have a blast because, they're all Packers fans.
Next year, you can start planning now. Prep ahead.
Good call.
Except that you're going to dip into those funds to come to Minneapolis with me in February.
Go Pack, go.
With that, let's look ahead till Sunday. The Packers have knocked the Cowboys out of the playoffs in 2 of the last 3 seasons, and they could actually really hurt their playoff chances this year if they were to give them 3 losses before their Week 6 bye. Now, despite their 2 losses of the season, this game will be the Cowboys' toughest challenge yet, as their young, inexperienced defense will face off against the best quarterback of the past decade, AR-12, Mr. Aaron Rodgers.
Woo-woo.
Now, since 2008, when Rodgers took over, the Packers have lost just 13 of 73 games after having a lead after the first quarter, according to ProFootballReference.com. Much like last week, it is way easier to play from a 14-0 start than it is to play from a 0-14 start. So we need to score quick and score often to make the Cowboys a pass-heavy offense in this game and take Ezekiel Elliott out of the game. Number 2, Dez Bryant. If we can get them one-dimensional, we will have to then shut down Dez, and the cornerback in this game that can cover Dez like no one else is what we are going to need. Now, Kevin King may need to take this huge step forward this week since Demarius Randall is MIA, especially after letting that easy 7 happen against the Bears last week. Look for more nitro in this game to force Dak to throw the ball off timing, and that'll start with Jones playing up in the box more often. So I think we'll see a lot of Jones this week. And then, of course, it's another turf show, so field position will be key in this matchup. Davis needs to get the returns in this game, so the special teams need to step up their blocking and allow Davis some lanes to make something happen, because I think a special teams touchdown is going to be the difference maker in this one.
And since it is on artificial turf, please, everybody, be careful. No new ankle injuries or anything of that sort. Please.
Please. We got 2 more games before the bye. We can do it.
We can do it. This bye, it seems like it's taking forever to get there, but that's only because of how early our bye week has been in recent memory.
That's true. Very true.
We are going to be so thankful when we get there. And the fans spoke as we lead up to the Dallas game, posted out in our Monday Twitter and Facebook group poll. How do you think our Packers will fare in Dallas with the latest injuries to the team? And an overwhelming 53% voted and said, next man up will be all right. 26% said it could be rough for a bit, but once we're healthy, look out. And 21% wanted to play along with the fun and say, only an AR-12 catchphrase can save us.
I think the catchphrase is next man up this year.
We just have to have Aaron Rodgers get all serious and look into the camera and let us know what the catchphrase / hashtag is going to be for this season. Caleb Fisher, he commented and said, I believe with AR-12 at quarterback, we will do well. And with 11 days off, we have an opportunity for our men to get back in action. And I hope Davante Adams will be back soon. Go Pack, go.
Go Pack, go. Peter Allison said it's not going to be easy, that's for sure. We need to be on top of our game to win this one. The offense needs to stick with what works and stop trying to force the run. Let Rodgers pass and the run will come along. Now, that's an interesting theory because usually the run sets up the pass. So I'd be curious to see if that actually happens.
And if it works, I'm all for it. Brett Connor in the UK says AR-12 catchphrase just because it made me laugh.
And Kathleen McCabe said, it's all about the front seven and stopping the run. I agree. Dallas is a completely different team when they can lean on Elliott. And yeah, we take him out of the game and we got no problems. Smooth sailing the rest of the way.
Yeah, if we get to see some close-ups of sad Elliott on the sidelines, sitting there all grumpy, we know we're doing our job. Oh, well, guess what, Troy? The official Packers dope sheet is out yet again. And this time, of course, dedicated to the Packers at Cowboys Week 5 showdown. And we will link to the full thing, PackersFanPodcast.com/140. Basically, the 3-1 Green Bay Packers head to Dallas to take on the 2-2 Cowboys Sunday at 3:25 p.m. Central Time. The teams split 2 matchups last season, with Dallas winning at Green Bay, which makes no sense, during the regular season, and the Packers winning at Dallas in the divisional playoffs when it really counted.
Such a great game. Such a great game.
Amazing. He went to Jared. Oh, beautiful. Green Bay has won 6 of the last 7 games it's played against the Cowboys in the regular and postseason, including 2 at Dallas. Can I get a go, Pack, go?
Go, Pack, go.
And including the playoffs, it'll be the 5th straight season the Packers and Cowboys have met. And you know why, Troy?
Because we're trying to get revenge for the 90s?
That and TV ratings.
TV ratings, indeed.
I was looking at the map of where this game's being shown, and at least here in America, it looks like everybody's going to be watching this particular showdown.
They are America's team.
That's right. Gallup poll has proved it yet again. And the Packers, I kind of lost track of this because, you know, when you split the seasons, the Packers have won 9 of their last 10 regular season games.
That's a pretty good stretch.
Yeah, let's keep that thing rolling on. And notable connections, Packers Executive VP, General Manager, and Director of Football Operations, Ted Thompson, in Ted We Trust. He is from Atlanta, Texas, about 175 miles east of Dallas, and he attended Southern Methodist, which is hard for me to say, but I will roll on because Packers tight end Martellus Bennett was Dallas's second-round pick back in 2008, played 60 games for the Cowboys from 2008 through 2011. You know, last week we talked about Martellus. Now he's tied to the Bears. Now he's tied to the Cowboys. He's bouncing around, but all I can hope for is he does great things for us. So prep yourselves for Sunday's game by reading the full Packers dope sheet for Packers at Cowboys. Again, linked on our site at PackersFanPodcast.com/140.
Well, game time weather at AT&T Stadium is going to be a warm one, 90 degrees, 63% humidity. Holy cow, Jerry, close that roof.
Wow, is summer ever going to end?
Doesn't seem like it. The tropics are really, really warm. The ocean water is pretty toasty right now. I think we're going to see some pretty warm temperatures into November, which would be great because I got word I'm going to the Bears-Packers game at Soldier Field.
Really? So the last game you went to may not be your last one of the season, and you're going to go deep into enemy territory.
It'll be fun. It's Veterans Day weekend, so it should be quite interesting to see how things progress with this anthem stuff. But I'm still going to the game because I'm green and gold till I'm dead and cold. We got to cheer them on down here at Soldier Field.
Wow. If you end up going and we actually get some pre-game live Facebook video from you live from Soldier Field, it'll just seem wacky, but very entertaining.
Definitely. Well, early showings have 53 as the total for this week, and Packers a 2-point underdog. Now, the Cowboys have not lost 2 games in a row at home, dating all the way back to the 2015 season, so this will be a pretty tough matchup this week.
Oh, way back 2 whole years ago.
Yeah. The Packers were also 6-1 straight up against the spread, so the Cowboys, as of late, are not that well. So, Wayne, you, I believe, picked closer to the Packers score last week. So I shall yield the floor to you.
All righty, and I'll go ahead and take that floor this week. You know, after the Cowboys got beat in Dallas by the mighty Los Angeles Rams, I knew that something is amiss in Dallas. So I am picking a Packers victory this week, Troy. Packers 31, Cowboys 28. It is going to be too close for comfort, but we are going to be victorious yet again.
That's a heart attack game, Wayne. I can't handle those heart attack games.
I know. I can't wait for the week when I can say Packers are going to win 44-0. But it may not be this week.
Definitely between the Packers and the Cowboys, it's literally gone the over almost every single time. These guys are scoring machines. So I'm right with you in the same category ballpark. I am going to take the over. I'm going Packers 33, Cowboys 21.
Ooh, I love it.
Little more breathing room. Because I got to move this weekend, and I can't take a heart attack after I lifted all those heavy boxes. I'm too primed and probed for it from all that work.
So the Packers need to do it so you can have an easier move. Makes sense to me.
Exactly right.
Whatever it takes. This is one busy month for you, Sir Troy.
Oh, it'll be great, though, with a nice Packers victory to cap it off and then rest on Columbus Day.
Sounds like a plan. I'm all for it. Sign me up. Sign me up.
You know where else you could sign up? You can sign up to be an MVP member of the Packers Fan Podcast at Patreon. And we got a new Patreon subscriber, did we not, Wayne?
Yes, just today we want to send out welcome and thank you to our newest Patreon supporter, Jeff Sommerfeld. Extra special props to you, my friend, for supporting the podcast at the Brett Favre $4 level, proving to be an MVP like the old gunslinger himself. Put her in the old vice. Jeff, thank you so very much.
Yeah, and also the Texas-only Green Bay Packers Fanatics Facebook group. They keep going at the Brett Favre level as well, because much like Brett Favre, the Texas-only Packers fans prove once again that they never give up, as well as Alex J. at that Curly Lambeau appreciation level. Well done, sir, and much appreciated. Now, you can make the Packers Fan Podcast even better by becoming one of these MVP supporters. It helps us grow the show, bring you more great content each and every week. So check out all the different levels by visiting the PackersFanPodcast.com/support link. You could even come to a game with me at Lambeau Field during 2018 if you get all the way up to the Reggie White level. That's right. Be in the Ring of Honor as one of our MVPs, and you can go to a game. Thanks again, Alex, and the Texas-only Packers fans, and newcomer Jeff. We appreciate it very much.
So cool. And we do have our Packers Fan Podcast Community Facebook group. You can find it easily if you just go to PackersCommunity.com. With this group, you can converse with other like-minded Packers fans, talk about the podcast, talk about the Packers, talk about the Cowboys in a way. Go ahead and join the Packers Fan Podcast Community Facebook group, PackersCommunity.com.
Yes, and if you enjoy all of our shenanigans here on the Packers Fan Podcast, please also follow our other works that we're doing. Currently airing is the Blacklist Exposed podcast about the NBC television show The Blacklist. You can find that at theblacklistexposed.com. And if you are a foreign, non-stateside person that can be able to access the awesome show about Philip K. Dick's Electric Dreams, that's actually airing right now, I believe, in, was it Australia and the UK? Is that the two countries, Wayne?
And there's probably some other European countries we're trying to track it down, and it is coming to Amazon in North America probably mid to late November, so be ready for Electric Dreams. The first 3 episodes, this week's episode, the third one, blew my mind. And then, of course, sometime in early to mid 2018, Troy, you and I may have another show coming if schedules permit.
And if the show ever gets an air date,
well,
which would be really helpful.
It would be nice to be able to plan in advance.
Yeah, but you can check that out at theelectricdreamspodcast.com. And with that, the Unofficial Packers Fan Podcast is not affiliated with the NFL or the Green Bay Packers, but we'd love for that to be possible. If you know somebody, have them email us at media@packersfanpodcast.com. And again, don't forget to become one of the MVPs of the podcast. Go over to packersfanpodcast.com/support to see how you can make the podcast even better.
And like Troy mentioned earlier in the show, remember to take us on the go with you with our free Packers Fan Podcast app for iOS and Android. We want to cover as many fans as we can. It's the easiest way to consume the show. Also, on Twitter, if you do that Twitter thing, follow us at Packers Fan Pod or my personal account at Wayne Henderson.
And me, I'm at Troy Heinrichs. Be sure to join the Packers Fan Podcast community. Again, packersfanpodcast.com/Facebook or packerscommunity.com. We want to hear from you. Talk about all the fun we're having here, especially after we beat the Dallas Cowboys.
And after we beat the Dallas Cowboys, we want to hear you tell us all about it. Go to packersfanpodcast.com/feedback to get in your feedback. Keep those conversations going online in all those beautiful places. More fun episodes of Packers Talk coming up next week. But for now, we just want to thank you for listening to this Cowboys Packers preview episode of your Packers Fan Podcast.
Be sure to subscribe at Apple Podcasts so you don't miss any of our coverage during the 2017 campaign. Now, let's cheer them on as we're going on the road down to the big star in Dallas. That's right, we're taking on Jerry Jones and the Cowboys. We need all the help we can get. Let's hear you now. Go Pack, go!